Welcome. Today, I think we're going to walk through an entire feature or an issue inside my Tango Tempo application. We'll probably be adding the edit mode, which isn't quite working mode when I want to edit an existing event. I'll be editing that mode. My goal here is to be entirely hands-off in terms of coding. I won't touch the code. I'm going to operate with my guild by using its roles, using its processes, using my commands, and it uses the standard. So I'm going to be talking to project managers, asking them what's the next thing to do is, making sure that the people who are coding, I'm going to be looking at the code, but I'm not going to actually be touching the code. That's today's goal, is to take a feature, walk it all the way through end to end, and see how much it's going to cost. My guess is it's going to take about an hour to get through this process, and we'll see how it goes. Here we go. So welcome. Today we're going to first do an overview of what the guild is. The guild is basically a set of playbooks and a set of rules and guidelines and a lot of documentation that, in this case, Claude 2.7 operates with. The first thing it operates with is a set of goals, and my goals come in the form of a set of requirements documents, much like Jira. So I have issues and features and other larger planned migrations, but today we're going to be focusing in on the issues. So the goals that it has is a documented issue that has got what the requirements are, what its goals are, how it succeeds. That's how it checks in all the time on what the goals are. Once it has a goal, I then give it a set of roles. I say list the roles, and then I go read the roles. And the roles are classic roles like Scrum Master and a data architect, a systems architect, API coder, ATL, a coder for the React coding, a tester, a DevOps engineer. You know, the classic roles that it takes to get things done inside any organization. I've just developed those into personalities and roles inside of the AI. And each of those roles has a set of processes that it can do. One might have a promotion strategy with GitHub. One might have a coding strategy and how it codes and develops processes around coding and testing strategies. Some might, like the PM role, the Scrum Master is very driven by documentation and how it sees standards within documentation standards. Now, the PM role typically goes back and forth between all the roles. The Scrum Master role is the one who is asking to switch between architect role and a scout role, which goes and figures out what the problem is, and a coding role, which does what the architect designs. And that's what the Scrum Master does. These are all driven by processes. So I give it a set of goals. We have a predefined set of roles, and those processes, each of those roles have defined processes. And from those top three, I give it directives to operate and do certain things. I'm not touching the code, but I'm giving these things a set of commands and directives. Lastly, I don't interact with any of the standards. The standards are a basic thing that if you're operating a node, you have a version of Node. It knows it has to do this type of error handling, this type of ESLint checks, this type of looping, this type of basically all my coding standards, migration standards. All that sits inside of my but I don't interact with that because it's just a core functionality of how it thinks. Basically, once you've built that, I give the mission of this guild a goal-driven paradigm, and it operates with that. It's very process-oriented. It builds documentation for every step, and every process that it goes through, it uses team interactions to go back and forth and make sure it knows what it's doing. And its goal, its mission, is to do end-to-end coding. Given requirements, hands-off, how does it build code all the way through to the very end? And that's what the guild basically does. I give it goals, roles, processes, and I interact with directives, and it is driven by standards. Its mission in the background is to operate by those goals, and those goals are always process and document oriented, and it interacts with each other, with itself through team. And I'm one of the single team members to produce this end-to-end coding solution. That's what we're going to look at today by looking at a feature. That's our goal today. So what you're seeing here is the application. This is an application. I'm starting up the application here in the background. These are my three. I have a dev server in the background. And so this is my background back-end server. And what I'm starting up now with the picture with the hands is my front-end server. And this other thing is how I interact with checks and balances to make sure things are working. This isn't Claude. This is just making sure things are working appropriately. This is my back-end code to start the application. And here is the actual application. I'm going to restart it in just a second here. So it's a calendar application, basically a very specialized calendar that I operate for a couple of different industries. And what the error that you're going to see here after it reboots is that when I put in events, I can create events and edit and delete events and navigate through the world for the sets of events. These are all events put in by different organizers. But if you... Okay, I'm going to view this event, and you see that the description is that 6-letter, 8-letter fat fingers. Now, when I open up and edit the view, you see I've lost the title, I've lost the category, I've lost the venue, and I've lost the description. That's the bug we're working through. So we're trying to get the guild to go solve that problem. See, this is my goal. Now I'm starting Claude. This is a standard code, Claude code interface. The first thing I ask you to do is go read the roles. And this is a predefined set of roles that I've defined for this sort of project. Different sort of projects have different roles, but in this case, for this type of calendar, you'll see the roles that come up. I think I have called a builder role, an executor role, a scout role, a mirror role. I'm going to see here. There you go. So a mirror role basically is something that I make sure don't do anything, but let's talk back and forth, make sure that we agree on what we're doing, so it can't do anything other than dialogue. Scout mode is a really important role to go figure out what the problems are, right? So it didn't do anything except go update documents. It says, oh, I think I found the problem, or at least I understand it. The architect mode is actually building solutions, builds a documented solution about which projects it's going to go, which code it's going to go update, whether it needs to do any new installs, whatever it needs to do. The builder mode is the one that actually does code. So builder mode is the primary code builder. It goes out, it opens up whatever it needs to, updates the code, checks it in. But as it's doing that, it's only looking at what the architect gives, and the architect is only operating under what the scout has found, and the scout is only operating by what the issues that we've defined. So now the bottom half, you'll see that there are different types of issues and types of playbooks, and we're going to skip ahead in a second here, but we're going to open up the make sure it understands what an issue is and how to promote that issue. Behind the scenes, it already knows how to code. It already knows what my standards are. So that's really what I want to make sure it knows how to do, how to code by my standards, how to promote, and how to deal with a given issue. That's the level of documentation. So I'm telling it now to, well, we'll skip ahead in just a second. So I've decided now to, instead of using a feature, since this is really more of a bug, I'm going to say, call this an issue instead of a feature. So I have to tell it what the standards for issues are, and that's what 11 is. So now it's reading what my standard processes are for issues. And after it's got that issue built, or an understanding, it'll go list them. I'll ask it to do a list, and then it'll go finish it. So now it's come back with my standard. So now it understands what an issue is. You can see that it has read the playbook, and it said, I think I know what to do now with an SNR. So it's defined what an SNR is, and that's basically what I did, what's coming up next, and where we should go. And so now I'm doing the core goal-oriented system. I'm telling it to first list the issues that are in its system. It's a very Jira-like look. What's happening here is as I see those two issues, I know that I need to close them. So this is one of my interactions with it, to say close this issue, and then it goes on and moves these into the appropriate directories and updates the status for these issues. And that way I'm operating with a clean slate. Okay, now that those issues are closed, I'm going to say open a new issue, and I described it earlier, so I'm going to just basically describe it, and after I've described it, it's going to create that issue, but it's going to be very generic because it didn't actually know what's going on. The first thing it will do is it will request, probably, to go into scout mode to see what the issue is in terms of code. It's going to go look at the code and say, yep, do I understand it? Do I think I get what this request is? And then that's what scout mode will do. We'll figure out, do I understand what this issue? And then update the status. Okay, now generically what's happened here is we've actually built the issue, but there's not a lot of data in it. So it's created it, and then it does, it's in mirror mode, as you can see, and it does a summary of, he summarized the event issue, next steps. He says, I need to create a branch for it and begin the implementation. And then its real big thing is it's going to request to go into scout mode to investigate what the issue is. That's the real interesting thing here, is to go into scout mode. Now I'm going to approve this scout mode. So I'm cutting and pasting, and I say approve for scout mode. And once I say go, then it's going to go do a deep dive and then go update what it finds it. Now remember, it's operating by this goal, operating by the issue. It's not trying to do anything else. Now it's going and studying. Okay, now it's about to finish the scout mode. Here it is. It's the scout mode. It says it's identified the root cause, and that's marvelous to see. So it went out and said, yes, I agree with you. It explains what it thinks the problem is, what code needs to go up against, and what it should have done is should have done another SNR. It should have done a summary. And what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go into fast mode here, is to see, it goes in saying where the code problem is, and I'm going to go look at that code. So at this point, I agree with its finding, and I'm coming back to basically ask it what it thinks its next steps are by giving it an SNR command, and you'll see that in a second. The SNR is summarize and then give me what your next steps are, and then request what you think is the next role for the goal of certain things. So this is, again, forcing it to be goal-oriented, and the documentation supporting that. So here it is. It's summarized what its solution is. Its next step is to do the modify and do the update and add the proper events, do the request for switching to builder mode. That's a good sign. Here I am saying I approve the switch. The switch is an important command. I cut and paste what it thinks it should do just to confirm that this is what I wanted to do, and then I have it go work. All right, now it's basically going and doing the coding, and every time it does a save of a file, not a commit, I am just checking to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. I'm not I don't code really all that well, so I'm just making sure that it's not going out of whack and making some bad decisions. So I'm just verifying that it's doing what I think it's supposed to do. Once again, I'm asking it to do an SNR, so I know what it thinks it should be doing next. And it says he's implemented the solution. Next step is to skip that one, is to check all the event fields and verify. So it's requesting to switch to executor mode. Now I know that it doesn't know how to do this, so I'm saying you're not approved because I'm going to have to do the approver mode. It doesn't know how to test in this application. Other applications it does know how, but in this case it doesn't know how. So I'm going to misspell and tell it that I'm going to go test. Okay, so I just switched to this calendar view and rebooted the app. Let's make sure this works. There you go. I think it didn't bring over the along. Let's try that update event. Nice. And it says events failed on the back end. I'm looking at the, yep. So on the back end. Okay, so now I'm going back into Claude and cutting and pasting the error. This is the cleaned up. I took the error from the terminal, put it into OpenAI, and here's the summary of what OpenAI says it is. I like that because it doesn't have to use. Sometimes it gets too detailed, and the summarization step from OpenAI cleans it up a lot. All right, so I gave it the issue. It says, I'll help you fix this. The empty string being passed. So it adds a to-do. Okay, now it officially did an SNR, which is good. Summarize next steps, failing to the moan, right? And it says it found it. Fix the empty strings with the objective values of nulls, good. Next step is to test the implementation. That's my job. Commit the changes to new branch. Uh, oh, fine. It'll do another branch. It's over again. It's over branching. That's fine. Create the pull branch merge. Okay, it's creating another issue. Uh, Fine. It's already built the documentation, so that's fine. It's calling it a different issue, but it's the same one. So the next step would be implement and verify the event changes now work correctly. So I will go do this. I am going to close the back end. All right. So it worked. All right. So it fixed that issue. Let's close this issue. Let's go back over to Claude. So that's small issue got fixed. I have a couple others, like it's missing a venue and it shouldn't be able to go into edit mode when I'm not in the right mode, but those are separate issues. So let's close this issue. Let's go over to Claude so you can see what's going on. All right. So today's goal, this worked. So while it's doing that, while it's closing, let's go look at completed. All right. So this one here's the documentation that it wrote. So here's the first one. It's pretty cool documentation. And here's the second one. What it did to fix it, what it did, and it's done. So let's go back to see how much this fix cost us. You ready? It's about what, 45 minutes, something like that? 15 minutes? Exit. $2.68. $2.68 to go fix two issues. I don't know how you can argue with that. What happened here is we opened up Claude. We told it what roles to look at. We told it what my standards are and what my commands are. We then opened an issue having to do with not bringing the values that came in an API on the edit screen. It looks like it was doing a blank screen. So on the edit mode, it wasn't bringing in the previous values. We asked it to fix that, and it fixed it, but then it wasn't able to post it. It wasn't actually able to do the update. And then it opened up a new issue and said, oh, I found the issue and it fixed that. And I had to go walk through it. But I never touched any code. I never had to do anything but make sure it was keeping on track. So thank you for joining this video. If you got all the way to the end, you notice I had a little bit of audio problems, so I did some talking over what was going. But essentially, we got what we wanted. We found an issue. We identified an issue. We opened up Claude. You integrated the guild and said, let's start the guild. Let's give it your roles. Let's give it your processes. Let's give it your playbooks. And then these playbooks is what I interact with the guild. I tell it to open the issue, sort of design the issue, design the solution, architect the solution, then go code the solution, and then go test the solution. Then I step in and say, yep, looks like it worked. And then it goes and promotes it. End to end, this took about an hour. And in the end, this is $2.86. It's pretty impressive. It's hard to argue with how effective these are in coding this in this day and age. So if you'd like to know more about this or get in contact with me, feel free.